This week's Peppy List is on ancient Sumer. In the 1850s, archaeologists were scouring the deserts of Mesopotamia for lost cities. Buried beneath the sand was uncovered the ancient city of Ur. Ur was a city-state in the Sumerian civilization. Archaeologists didn't even know about Sumer until about 170 years ago. They started uncovering the ruins and other artifacts and were surprised to find tablets with a strange language on them of a lost people. This turned out to be the world's oldest civilization. But what made Sumer a civilization? In this list, I will discuss the characteristics of a civilization, its social structure, ziggurats, the discovery of the wheel, and cuneiform. The first item on the list for ancient Sumer are characteristics of a civilization. Sumer was the world's first civilization, but what does it mean to be a civilization? According to historians, there are 7 characteristics. These include a stable food supply to ensure citizens had nourishment to thrive, a social structure with different rankings and roles in society, a government to create order and laws, religion to establish a set of beliefs, culture which gave a civilization unique art forms, technological advances, and a written language so that information could be passed down. Second on the list for ancient Sumer is social structure. A social structure is a complex organization of jobs and ranked social levels. In Sumer, the king, priests, nobles, and government officials were at the top. At the middle class were merchants and artisans. Artisans made things and merchants sold those things that the craftspeople made. The Sumerians crafted items made of tin, silver, gold, lead, copper, and bronze. Farmers and fishermen were also included in this class. At the bottom of the hierarchy were the slaves. Most slaves were war prisoners. Third on the list for ancient Sumer is the ziggurat. A ziggurat was a temple tower with outside staircases and a shrine on top. Sumerians might have believed their gods lived in these ziggurats. Some ziggurats were as high as 7 stories. Kings and priests stood inside the temples at the top to ask the gods blessings. Some religious ceremonies may have involved human sacrifices as offerings to the gods. This picture is from a ziggurat in the Sumerian city of Ur. The fourth item on the list for the ancient Sumerians is the wheel. The Sumerians invented the wheel. The earliest examples of wheels date back to potter's wheels used to shape clay. These go back as far as 3,500 years before Christ. The wheels were made of wood and used for farmers' carts and soldiers' chariots. Oxen could now be attached to carts and pulled heavier loads. Before this, people used sledges that they dragged across the ground. It is believed that the Sumerians tied large chunks of wood together to form the wheels. And the last topic on this week's list is cuneiform. Cuneiform is Sumerian writing that uses wedge-shaped forms. The Sumerians used a writing tool called the stylus to shape their letters on clay tablets. At first, there were over 2,000 symbols, but that was then reduced to 700. Cuneiform was used to record the trading of goods. Without cuneiform, we would know very little about this old civilization. Cuneiform was based on an earlier form of writing, which used pictographs. Think of them as emojis on your phone when you send a text. So in review of this week's Peppy List on ancient Sumer, I covered 5 topics: the characteristics of a civilization, social structure, ziggurats, the wheel, and cuneiform.